Hello! Today I will be teaching and going over how to solve for the perimeter and the area of basic geometric shapes so that you can apply them in formulas when needed. Basically, perimeter and area are actually used widely today in many careers, so as general and basic this topic may be, it is important to know exactly how to find it for the use of everyday tasks. Starting off with their definitions, perimeter is essentially the distance around a shape. In the real world, we could say something like it being the amount of tape needed to wrap around an object, or we could use an example as like a paint canvas. But on the other hand, although area is quite similar, instead, the measurements are based off of the amount of space inside a shape. You could use area to see how many cookies you could possibly fit in a jar, and so on. Oftentimes, these two are confused, but it's important to remember the differences because the way you solve for them are completely different. Perimeter, for example. The overall formula for a perimeter is P equals 2 times the length plus the width. Continuing off the tape example from the beginning, say we had a rectangular canvas, and we'll call it WXYZ. As you already know already, rectangular canvases, or just rectangles in general, have 4 right angles, additionally parallel sides. So with that means I'll use a different color. This side and this side are parallel to each other or congruent, and this side and this side are also parallel to each other and congruent. If we were given the lengths of WX, I'll write it down here, and said they were 8 inches, 8 inches, and if we were given the value of XZ, saying they're 4 inches, we can easily substitute them and put them on each side because, again, they are congruent. So WX is 8 inches, oh gosh, and XZ is 4. I cannot draw 8s today, but you get the idea. From here, we can add each length together to get the perimeter. As if we had, again, if we were trying to tape around a canvas so that no paint would get across the borders, we could just add 4, 8, 4, 8 in order to get a wide, accurate range of how much tape we would need. So if we add 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4, we could get 24 inches. So therefore, we would need 24 inches of tape to fill up this canvas, fill the sides. We could also just use this formula right here, which would actually be a more way efficient method. Just substitute the sides in, the length and the width, multiply by 2, you would still get 24 as your answer. But we also have to remember the properties and basics of each shape because then again, we can find ways to make it easier to solve if we adapt to the given shape. Let's say we had, I'll do it in a different color. Let's say we had a square, and we'll call it ABCD. Now, as everyone knows, squares also have 4 right angles. Their sides are completely congruent to each other, meaning, and if we were given the value of, or the perimeter, let's say the perimeter was 40, and we had to solve for the side lengths, we could either plug it in to this formula, but a more efficient method would be considering the fact that each side is basically x, and altogether that would be 4x. And in order to find out the side lengths, we could divide 40 from 4x. 4x from 40. Therefore, we get x equals 10, making all of our side lengths 10. You can check the math by again, using this formula, you would add 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. You would still get 40 as your answer. But aside from perimeter, we go back to the basics of solving area, which again is basically just the measure of space within a shape or object. The formula for area is A equals the length times the width. For example, if we were to have another rectangle, I'll do it in this color. If we had another rectangle, say a 3 by 6 rectangle, and we had 1 by 1 squares, we could basically, by doing the correct formula, we can figure out how many 1 by 1 squares we can fit inside this 3 by 6 rectangle. We could pretend that the rectangle is a shipping box with the 1 by 1 squares being packages that have been ordered by customer. The first method we could use too is pretty straightforward, just multiplying 3 and 6 together, giving us 18 as our area. However, we can split up the rectangle by giving, I'll do it in this color, by giving 3 and 6 columns together, kind of like this. We'll do one here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you counted all of them, you would still get 18 as your answer. You can do the same thing with the squares, actually. And in fact, that is where you get the unit of measurement for area. Whenever you have your answer, you'd write square, when only for solving for area. Perimeter, you can leave it as it is. But in the multiplication sense, this is where your unit of measurement comes from, because you're essentially just squaring the lengths since they are congruent in the measurement. Let's say we had a 2 by 2 square. 2 squared is essentially just 4, and 2 times 2 is 4. So, there you have it, area and perimeter. Thank you and have a nice day.